back to World of Immersion. Today we're going to be doing a tier list of every single roller coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain in 2022. Now remember, this list is just my opinion, so be sure to comment down below what you think of these rides at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and if you've done a tier list similar to these. Alright, so starting off, I'm going to go through the different tiers and what they mean. So S tier over here is going to be the best of the best. These are the world-class coasters that are incredible. A tier are really solid rides. They're not the best in the park, but they're still really good rides and definitely would be one of the best if they're at other theme parks. B tier is solid rides, not the best, not the worst. Usually rides that I would ride every time, but not ones that I go out of my way to always ride. C tier are kind of the lower tier coasters. They're not awful, but they're not great either. D tier I'm going to be using as like a kiddie coaster category for the kiddie rides because those don't really belong in any other category. And then F tier is the bad rides. These are rides that I don't enjoy riding. However, I don't think there's many here at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And then I actually have ridden every single one of these coasters besides Magic Flyer. So Magic Flyer will be the only one in this category. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into the video. We're going to start off over here with Apocalypse. I think definitely Apocalypse is going to be right there nice in the B tier. It is a really fun ride. It's not the smoothest wooden coaster. I definitely do prefer Ghost Rider down at Knott's Berry Farm, but it is still a really fun and intense ride, so I think it belongs right there in B tier. Next is going to be Batman the Ride, and I actually really enjoy this version of Batman the Ride. I think it's one of the smoothest. Recently, for some reason, I feel like it's gotten a lot smoother. It's a really intense ride, really fun invert. I think it also belongs right there in B tier. Not the best ride ever. It's definitely a short ride, but it is still really fun and really intense. Next is going to be Canyon Blaster. It's a fine kiddie coaster. It's not an awful ride, but it's a kiddie coaster, so I'm going to go with it in D tier. Alright, next is Full Throttle. I'm going to put Full Throttle right here in B tier as well. I think it is on a similar level to Batman and Apocalypse. It is a really short ride, and it feels like it could be a lot longer and should be a lot longer. But I do think the launch is pretty forceful, and that loop is really fun, and the airtime you get coming over the top hat is also really incredible. But yeah, the brakes on the drop kind of suck, and it's a really short ride. So that's why it kind of belongs in B tier. Not the best, but also not a bad ride at all. Next is Gold Rusher. I think Gold Rusher is fine. It's not a great ride, but it's also not the worst. I think it's going to go in C tier. It's definitely pretty rough, but it does use the terrain really nicely, so that's pretty good. But yeah, definitely one of the weaker coasters, but not an awful ride. Next is going to be Goliath, and this one's hard to rank because I do actually enjoy the first half a lot. The drop isn't great, but I feel like you do get some nice floater over that second hill. But unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to put Goliath here in C tier. I don't think it's a great coaster, especially for its height. I think it definitely could be a lot better with how tall it is. I think Magic Mountain could have done a lot better job. Next is Magic Flyer. I have not ridden Magic Flyer, and I won't ever ride Magic Flyer because I am too tall. Next is Ninja. See, I actually really like Ninja. I think it is a solid ride. It's pretty intense and actually pretty smooth too for an aero coaster. I'm going to put Ninja up here in B tier. And here's why. I think it is almost as intense as something like Apocalypse and probably even more intense than Full Throttle. But it's a pretty relatively long ride, and I do like Ninja quite a bit. So I think, yeah, Ninja belongs here in B tier as well. Next is New Revolution, or just Revolution, depending on what you call it. I think Revolution is a fine ride. It's a C tier ride. It's not great. And remember, D tier is for kiddie coasters. So these are the only 4 tiers I am using besides F tier for bad rides. Now next is Riddler's Revenge. Once again, it's a fine ride. It's not great, but I think it belongs probably here in C tier. It's pretty intense, but I really am not a fan of stand-up coasters. So yeah, definitely in C tier here. Next is Roadrunner Express, family coaster, kiddie coaster. Not really gonna be anywhere higher than that. Next we have Scream. Scream is kind of hard to rank. I'm not sure. It's fine, but it is kind of rough. I think I'm gonna put Scream here in C tier. Notice we haven't had any rides in A or S tier yet, which is interesting. Alright, next, Speedy Gonzales, kiddie coaster. It's gonna go right there. Superman. Now, this might be a very controversial opinion. I don't like Superman. I think it is boring and not worth it for the height. It really is not that good of a ride, and I feel like they could have done such a better job with a taller coaster like that. So yeah, I don't like Superman. The weight can be insane because of how slow the dispatches are and how little people it holds on each car. Really not a fan of Superman. Tatsu. This is going to be our first A tier ride. I love Tatsu. It's really intense. It's a super smooth coaster. Yeah, really, really fun ride. I actually really like Tatsu a lot. Next is Twisted Colossus. Here we go. Our first S tier ride. Twisted Colossus is incredible. It is seriously one of the best rides out there. It is one of my favorite rides in the park and one of my favorite coasters I've ever ridden. So yeah, definitely belongs in the S tier. It is such a long ride, so much crazy airtime, and such a fun ride. Next is Viper. Now this ride is actually, it's grown on me quite a lot recently. It's a really intense ride, especially if you're in the back row. That first half is insane. You fly through those loops, and I always gray out. So yeah, I think Viper belongs in B tier. I think it's actually a really fun ride, and it's a lot better than I used to believe it was. Next, we have West Coast Racers. I'm going to actually put West Coast Racers here in A tier. I think it is a fun ride. It's a really long ride. And yeah, it's got some pretty forceful elements and some really good pops of airtime. The only thing I really don't like about the ride is the restraints. And the cars are pretty small, so they're kind of uncomfortable. But other than that, I think it's a really fun ride. Next, we have the brand new ride, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. I love this ride. I think it is incredible. If you are in the back row, you get flung over that drop. There are some great pops of airtime. The line moves really fast because of the moving station. So yeah, I think Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is an incredible ride and definitely belongs in the S tier right alongside Twisted Colossus. And finally, we are here with X2, the first ride you see when you enter the park. And I think X2 is also S tier. X2 is an incredible ride. It really is one of a kind, especially in America. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of X2. If you sit on the inside seat, it is such a smooth ride compared to the outside seat, and it's just such a fun ride overall. I really am a huge fan of X2, and I think it definitely belongs in the S tier. So here we are. These are my final rankings of the rides. Remember, D tier is Kiddie Coasters, and then here I have not ridden Magic Flyer. And then yeah, C tier is definitely my least favorite coasters in the park, and S tier is the incredible ones. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I want you to comment down below how you would rank these rides and if you've done a tier list before. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to comment down below for any other parks you want to see me do a tier list for. I would love to do more of these. These are really fun, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.